Dynamesh is an alternative to subdivisions. Change the resolution of your mesh at any time, as well as use any feature or brush non-exclusive to subdivision levels. Open the Geometry subpalette and expand the Dynamesh tab. Set your resolution here and press the Dynamesh button to enter Dynamesh mode. With Polyframe enabled, you will see your polygons layout replaced with smaller, evenly distributed polygons. At any time, you may change your resolution and redistribute polygons by redynameshing. Hold Ctrl, click, and drag in the background to redynamesh your model. Click to enable the Groups option for Dynamesh and redynamesh your model. This will tell Dynamesh to split your polygroups into individual meshes. Dynamesh is ideal for freeform sculpting and can be applied to every subtool individually. With Lightbox open, double-click the Dynamesh sphere project and click Notice Saving Changes. And we'll use this sphere to create our Among Us Imposter Mutant Monster. I'm going to go ahead and open the Geometry tab and navigate down to Dynamesh and just check out our settings here. As Dynamesh is already enabled, I turned off perspective, masked off or unmasked the top, and pulling it upward to create that capsule-like shape for the body. Alright. And now in the subtool list, I'm going to go ahead and pick Append and click a Cylinder 3D. I'm going to Alt click to go to that subtool. And now we're going to make some edits to this to make it into a leg. Just enable transparency. And you got the option between ghost mode on and off. Helps you see through your mesh to help place things. And just move that leg over to one side and scaling and moving it into place. And now from the side view, I continue to scale things out here. Squashed it inward with the red rectangle. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now let's go into Geometry subpalette, Modify Topology, and Mirror and Weld to get our other leg. Next, let's go into Dynamesh, our legs here. And now we have that set. Let's enable symmetry in the transform menu. And let's perform a smooth on our legs to get rid of some of that faceted geometry, at least the look of it. Nice and smooth. Okay, now let's do the same for the body shape, which we stretched earlier. If we tried to sculpt on it, we see something like this. Let's go ahead and Dynamesh, and now we can sculpt on it if we want it. For now, we're just going to do a bit of smoothing, get rid of those edges. All right, and now zoomed out a bit here. I'm going to use the mask pen to draw out the little visor area to what I think is his spacesuit, and just Control Alt click to sharpen and invert the mask. In deformation, we're going to navigate to inflate and inflate a bit just to extrude. Try it again from this angle. That's pretty good. You can also use the Gizmo 3D to manipulate your unmasked geometry. Okay. Now let's go up back into our geometry tablet and just go ahead and redynamesh. Okay, we don't need any more resolution just yet. Make my brush nice and small. A little test stroke. I'm going to go into Preferences tab, open tablet, and disable use tablet. It is a good trick to get a nice flat stroke without any pen pressure variance. So now I'm just tracing that visor with this mask brush here, mask pen brush, and I just control click to sharpen our mask, and we're going to perform the same edit with the inflate deformation. Just navigate to the bottom and click and drag to inflate. Okay, that's not bad. It's not bad. Let's go undo our blur even and do the inflate. See how that looks. That's a bit better. It's a bit cleaner. Just gonna apply a bit of smooth while still masked. Alright, that's pretty good. And now we got the bases of his helmet visor. Just going to increase our resolution for Dynamesh, then remesh. And now I'm just going to apply a little bit of smoothing to get rid of some of those artifacts that weren't too clean. A little move brush. Oh, let's undo that. Let's go back into our preferences and turn back on use tablet. Because now I want to use the damn standard brush to just trace the outside of this visor here. Just trying to clean things up a bit. It's a nice stroke. Just trying to make as few strokes as possible in my attempt to keep it somewhat clean. Alright. Zoom out a bit. Try to find a good angle for sweeping your arm across these kind of strokes. Okay, I think that's pretty good for what we're going for. Now back to the legs here. Just make them a bit shorter by pulling them up using the Gizmo 3D. Keep in mind this is a separate subtool. And now over here for the deformations, we're gonna go back to our inflate, and that just performed an undo of some sort to our position. So let's go ahead and make our legs shorter and tuck them back into his body like so. That looks about right. Okay, now from the profile view, I'm gonna go ahead and turn off perspective, and with the knife brush, double alt click to change angle and release to cut out a section for his mouth here. Alright, and now I'm going to draw the mask for the top portion. I'm going to control click to blur our mask, and now invert it. Alright, multiple steps here. Alt click to move the Gizmo 3D, and now I'm just rotating the mouth backwards just to get an angle similar to our little reference image down there. Okay, and now with the move brush I'm just pulling some stuff around, knowing that when I Dynamesh, everything is going to kind of blend together. That's overlapped and penetrating. Okay, I'm just performing a bit of smooth all the way around. Now with some clay brush, fill in some holes or gaps. Now with the move brush, I'm holding the Alt key to push the surface inward like so, and create more of a cavity for his mouth. Alright, just continue to push and pull. As you can see, the legs are popping out just then. Now to the side, just playing with the corners of the mouth here. Okay. Just use a little clay brush to fill that hole there. And now from this angle, I'm just going to use the clay brush to draw some gums. I'm just going to start from the middle. This way I want to avoid creating a single tooth in the middle from bad spacing. Okay. Just building up some gums for our creepy mutant imposter. Alright. And now with that move brush, alt click and drag, I'm able to pull out something that resembles teeth. Like so. You get a lot of range out of the move brush. So I'm going to repeat the same steps for the bottom of the mouth. Just drawing some gums first, or sculpting out some gums. And now with that move brush and the right size, and I'm at the right camera angle, it's also very important to just alt click and drag and create some points. And we can still continue to modify with our move brush, changing our camera angles, turning perspective back on to get a good idea what it would look like if it was real or in reality. Okay. And I'm just making some edits here, pulling some of this inward, not to create too much of a bulge. Trying to maintain this profile for the most part. And now with the clay brush, I'm just trying to sculpt in some more organic shapes in here. Get things looking real menacing. With some textures in here, just overlapping strokes. Alright, now back to the move brush to continue to push a section inward. Just trying to create a nice cavity. I plans to make this tongue as well, so I want a nice place to put that. Alright, moving on here. I'm going to scroll down our subtool palette here, open up merge and merge down. Okay, and I just merge the legs to the body, and I'm going to open geometry tab and just go ahead and increase our resolution a little bit, and Dynamesh, see what we have. It's usually a trial and error process of finding the right resolution. So oftentimes I find myself just undoing, changing my resolution, and remeshing. Okay, back up here to the teeth. I'm just applying a round of smoothing all the way around, like so. Now the clay brush, I'm just playing around with some support textures underneath these gums, or what would be the rim of his mouth, just so it doesn't fall off into just smoothness. That is his body. These really do resemble minions now that I'm looking at it. Just zoom out here and just making some more tweaks with the move brush. As I said earlier, you'll be doing lots of nudging. Alright, and now with the damn standard brush, I'm just tracing the base of those cones that are his teeth, and just creating a separation between the teeth and the gums with this hard line. You can even use it around the gums just to create more of a contrast. Makes them look more ferocious and menacing, and gives a bit more definition to the forms you're establishing. And this is where you're having a tablet really shines. This would be really difficult using the mouse. Okay, but possible. Very possible. Now using the selection tool, just isolated the mouth area here. And actually I'm going to go ahead and isolate the top portion so I can access the back. And this is something you want to do just to get full access to areas you're trying to sculpt, as well as just focus on areas. It's a good means of using the selection tools. Okay, just inverted my visibility, and I'm just gonna hold Alt when using the selection tools. Okay, and just pretty much perform the same thing down here with the damn standard brush. And hopefully at this point you can really see the mileage you can get out of just a handful of brushes in a ZBrush. Doing the same from the front here, bottom row. Just running around the base of these teeth, like so. And a little bit more, just create some strokes in here between the gums, kind of the attention grabbing part of this piece. Okay, a little bit more around the underside of the visor here. Next, go to the subtool menu and click the pen button and append a sphere 3D. Navigate to the sphere 3D, and now we will manipulate this into his tongue. So now I'm just scaling it down transparency to see it inside of his head. And I'm just going to use the squash and stretch gizmos to lengthen out his tongue here. Alright, just getting into position as well. Pretty good. And from here, I think we can just use brushes. A nice large pinch brush. Taper it towards the front. Move brush to stretch it. And let's see next. Just gonna try using the move brush. Just kind of whiten the base. Continue to use the move brush. Kind of alter the shape of this tongue. Something a bit more irregular. Okay, zoom out a bit. Push these angles a bit more. Like I said, texture is definitely rough. If you pull this slider here, you can control the amount that's viewable in your subtool palette. Let's navigate to the geometry tab and enable dynamic mesh And I think we're going to need a bit more geometry. Let's go ahead and increase it a bit and remesh. Apply some smoothing, and I think we're ready to use the damn standard brush on the underside. Now with transparency and ghost on. This way you can sculpt through your models as well with ghost on. Okay, and just some loose strokes to kind of form a bit of a texture here, like so. And now with the standard brush, I'm just trying to accentuate the same type of design here. Just gonna run that along the center here. Just trying to get a couple of waves in here. And the polish brush to kind of flatten things out a bit. Similar to our tongues. Okay. And the standard brush to carve in a little bit of a divot. Okay. Alright, like the direction that's headed. More of the damn standard. Add some more contrast. And just keep going. Trying out some clay brush. See what type of textures I can create here. Back to the standard brush. And zooming out to see what we have. Okay. Back to the body. Just using a move brush to tweak some areas here. Just pushing and pulling and applying some smoothing. And lower my Z intensity. Apply a bit of clay brush in here to kind of fill in this crevice. Just trying to make it smoother. More of that low Z intensity clay. Remember, clay brush will fill in holes and crevices. More move brush. Alright. I think that looks a bit better. More smooth brush. Never have too much move brush. Okay. Just tweaking with the move brush. Okay. Now let's head back up to the append button. And this time I pin a cylinder 3D like we did for the leg. I'm gonna go to the cylinder 3D by alt clicking. I use isolate or solo button, I should say. And the Gizmo 3D to stretch and flatten and place at the bottom as a base. Okay. I turn on Dynamesh, and now with symmetry on, I'm just smoothing all the way around like so. A little bit more. Scale it up a bit, flatten it a bit more, and I think that's our base for now. Let's move back up to the subtool palette. Let's go back to the body. I'm going to click duplicate, activate my Gizmo 3D, and move the duplicate body outward like so. Okay. Kind of want it out of the way, but I want to keep it in the center, so undo that. I'll click to reset my transforms. and just pull upwards. Since we still have symmetry on, if we move off the center line, it'll stretch as you saw earlier. Let's turn off perspective. And now with a clip brush, I'm going to attempt to clip this right here. And as you can see, create a bit of a lip here of extra geometry. And that's something to be careful of when using your clip brush. So instead, we're going to go ahead and use the knife brush, which gets rid of the excess geometry, like so. And I'm just going to fill in this gap with the clay brush. And I'm just smoothing around the edge. And this is a set piece. This will be one of the half body little victims that are left behind once the monster strikes, or the imposter strikes. I haven't actually played the game. I've watched a decent amount of people playing it though, but I get the gist of it. Okay, now with the mask pen brush, I'm just going to create a mask just for the inside of this area here. Okay, just going to sharpen that by Control Alt clicking, Control click to invert. And now I'm going to activate the Gizmo 3D. And if you alt click on the surface, it will position your Gizmo 3D there. Pushing downward to inset that unmasked geometry. And if you want, you can kind of pull things out, create a bit of a bevel while things are still masked. Clear my mask. And we got a bit of a low resolution here, so good time to remesh. And now smooth. And that is the beauty of using Dynamesh. Just change your resolution at will, increasing it and decreasing it whenever, for whatever reason. Okay, let's go back to a pen. And we're going to do another cylinder 3D. And we're going to move this upwards, scale it downwards, and stretch it a bit. And we're going to use this to form the bone that's in the middle of the half-bodied little victim here. Alright. Sticking that in the center. And now we're going to go ahead to Geometry tab and press Dynamesh to put this subtool into Dynamesh mode. Let's up our resolution a bit, remesh by clearing the mask, and get things nice and smooth. Okay. So now we're going to go down to deformation, and we're going to go down to inflate just to thicken it up a bit, because there's a pretty big bone. And now I'm going to go ahead and increase our resolution and Dynamesh once again. And with that done, we're going to use an inflate brush and making kind of tiny circles, or half circles, creating the joint part of the bone. Okay, move brush to continue to manipulate the form, holding Alt sometimes to push and pull outwards and inwards, like so. And now with the damn standard, just kind of create a bit of a crease, get that nice cartoon bone look. a little bit lower here. You can always smooth things out. They're too intense. Okay, I think that is pretty decent representation. Alright, I'm just gonna go ahead and reposition things in our subtool menu here. I'm gonna move the bone above the half body so that now when I go down here to merge down and click OK, it will merge the bone and the body together on the same subtool. Alright, so now that that's done, let's go ahead and move this down here in front of the little monster imposter. And I'm realizing that we're missing one piece. We got to add the little backpack that's on the back of both of them here. So what we're going to do is go ahead and click the append button and click Cube 3D. Unhide everything from solo mode. And we're just going to go ahead and use our handles here to squish this into a more of a rectangular shape. Put it into place. Now I got to kind of bend this to match the angle of his back here. So I'm going to place it here like so. And I'm going to unmask the top portion. And I'm just going to rotate it. And I'm going to use Dynamesh, so I'm not going to bother about the overlap and penetration here. Alright, let's go to reset our transform. I just want to squish it in a bit more. Felt like it was a bit too thick. Alright, so let's go back down here in Dynamesh. And now with a nice large move brush, let's undo that. Don't have symmetry on. A nice large move brush with symmetry. I'm also smoothing here and there as well. I'm just tweaking the shape. Now it is starting to lose its straight edge here, but we can come back in and reestablish those. Okay, I think that's pretty much it. Now with the clip curve brush, I'm gonna drag a curve out here and use space bar. You can move your curve around before releasing. Do the same for the top here. Just clipping these little angles here. And just like that, we got our edges back nice and straight. Let's go ahead and Dynamesh that at a higher resolution. Apply a bit of smoothings. And we're good. Now I'm just going to go up into our subtool menu. Click duplicate. Bring up the Gizmo 3D. And put it into place. And now we're going to try to clip this. Undo that and use a knife brush this time. And that one works. Alright, so now he's got his little backpack on. It's been also chopped off or bit off. I'm just gonna squash it down a bit. Okay. And now I'm going to place this above the half body so that we can click the merge down and click always so that it will not pop up next time we click merge down. Okay. squishing down this backpack again. And now it's time to place a half body on our stage here. Let's undo that. And I'm going to go ahead and turn off symmetry so that we can place him off the center. And I'm just going to scale him down just a bit. Just rotate from this angle and rotate the body. Squash him down a little bit. My idea is that he's probably deflated a little since he's been eaten. Okay. Now control click and drag to duplicate. And we'll have another guy to stage here. Help set the scene. And I'm just rotating it. My goal is just to get this body to look somewhat different in position than the other body. So I'm just rotating it and manipulating it to look as if it's actually laying on the ground here. Okay, I don't mind a little penetration with the base. Okay, back to the main body, and now with a clay brush I'm going to go ahead and turn off symmetry. Holding Alt key, I'm just going to start to sculpt in some little recesses to make them look a bit more mutant or zombie-esque. To be missing patches of skin on the surface. And it's a simple texture just by creating a circle or round shape and then layering up the brush on top of each other. Gives the look of some pitting. Okay, just continue to do that sparingly in areas, changing shape and placement. Probably one more here. It's probably good. Alright, just moving around, just seeing what else we could work on here before concluding. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and pose the mouth here. Just turn off perspective and dragging out a mask. And I'm just switching my mask pen to the mask lasso. Once again, that's by holding Control key and clicking on the brush menu, and that'll show you your other masking brushes. Okay, now with the top part of the head unmasked and our Gizmo 3D in position, just move that down here, holding Alt key that is, and perform a slight rotation like so. And it just adds a bit more to his look here. Now we could just use Dynamesh to fix any overlapping. Just go ahead and remesh, form a bit of smoothing. That's up, but that just about does it. As I said before, I hope you can really see the power of just a handful of brushes and some of the key features available in ZBrush, such as Dynamesh here. See, in this version I played with the tongue. And that was just by using a nice large move brush. In the next clip we'll cover another means of resolution, which is Sculptris Pro. See you there.